Next thing you know, Nana's sitting alone when Nightingale suddenly pops up, asking if she's bored. The little girl jumps a mile after getting scared out of her wits, and the woman quickly apologizes for scaring her like that. Nightingale then mentions that Anna's still busy working, and might be back soon. Nana asks if Anna's still tackling those dirty mounds, and Nightingale nods in agreement. Nightingale then sits down on the chair and grabs Anna's tea out of habit without her permission. It seems Nana is feeling a bit down because of her new job. The prince has assigned her to heal the wounded guards. It's not that she's unwilling to do the job, but seeing the injured soldiers traumatizes her. She wants to overcome her fear to keep using her abilities effectively, and wishes she were as courageous as Anna. Suddenly, Nightingale spots someone coming, and a soldier bursts in with urgency, telling Nana to come downstairs pronto, because there's a badly hurt patient who needs her help. Down in the infirmary, the injured man screams in agony, begging his prince to relieve his excruciating pain. Seeing the soldier there, desperate for his life, makes our hero anxious as he wonders if this man's burns are from the steam engine malfunction in the northern mines. Nana arrives at the scene, trembling in fear as she approaches the burned miner. Her father gives her a reassuring pat on the head. Nana gulps down her fears, calming herself immediately, and declares that she's ready to proceed. Once the curtains are drawn around her, she takes a deep breath, summons her magical ability, and begins healing the man. Shortly after, the injured man is completely healed, looking as fresh as a freshly picked cucumber. Meanwhile, the father is really amazed and proud of her little girl after witnessing her healing abilities for the first time, and calls it nothing short of a miracle. Knight Brian happily mentions it's all thanks to Nana that he's also back from the brink of death. The prince freaks out upon hearing this and quickly tells Brian to keep it down. He reminds him that when Nana healed him, she snuck out without her dad knowing, and he doesn't want to deal with her angry father. Now that the injured man is awake and fully healed, he can't believe he's actually alive. Prince Roland assures him it's real, and proudly reveals that Nana, who is one of the witches, saved his life. Later that night, when our hero gets back to his room, Nightingale greets him and asks why he had to spill Nana's secret so early. And that's when we flash back to the moment when the miner is shocked after learning about Nana's true identity. He starts freaking out and reminds everyone about witches being devils. But her dad got annoyed real quick and set him straight that his daughter wasn't involved with any devils, and she was the one who saved his life. Out of nowhere, the miner sits up and drops to his knees in front of the little girl, apologizing big time for his earlier words and thanking her deeply for saving his life. Back in the present moment, our hero reflects that it was the perfect time to reveal her as a witch, considering how well it all played out. Plus, if they're going to use her powers against demons in the coming months, hiding her identity as a witch wouldn't have been an option anyway. He also stresses that since the church folks have already left for Longsong Fortress, there is no one to bully his girls. The lady asks him if he had already planned everything from the start. The boy immediately agrees, saying the snow has blocked the roads to the fortress and the seaports are under his control. The church has no means of learning what is going on in Border Town, let alone taking direct action against witches. This gives him a sweet 3 months to change public opinion about witches being the reincarnation of evil. He points out how Nana is now seen as an angel instead of a villain in the eyes of the soldiers she has recently healed. They can continue using her power to heal everyone, which will help boost everyone's morale. Once they remove prejudice from the civilians' minds, everyone will be happy. Nightingale has no clue what our hero is trying to achieve by all this, so she asks him why he is doing so much for the witches. Our hero reminds her once again that his border town does not discriminate by origin, and someone as loathed as witches should live on this land like every other person. The woman's eyes widen hearing our hero's big plans, and it's clear she's got something important to get off her chest. She admits she wasn't straight with our hero before. The prince is taken aback by this revelation, and the woman starts explaining how her sisters in the association have been moving around for ages, losing hope along the way. All they want now is a safe place to be happy, even if it's just a castle. At first the boy is confused by her confession, but then he's stunned to realize she's actually open to bringing all the witches to the border town. But she quickly brings him back down to earth, warning him that if witches come to the castle, he'll be facing off with the church. The boy reassures her, saying the church's main headquarters is far away. Even if they find out about witches leaving the border town, they won't march all the way to Grey Castle just for him. He's already plotting to gather enough influence to rival the church and create a world where witches can live alongside regular folks. He dreams of expanding that world to Grey Castle, or maybe even the whole kingdom. The next scene takes us to the capital of Grey Castle. There, soldiers on their horses are marching down the road when their captain suddenly yells for everyone to stop. This person looks really pumped as they finally return to the castle. The folks inside the castle light up the sky with fireworks, welcoming the man about to enter the city once again, Gerald Wimbledon, the first prince of Grey Castle. It's hilarious to see that these suckers have explosive material to make fireworks, even though it's been only a few chapters since our hero invented gunpowder in this primitive society. Anyway, the gates come down and Prince Gerald heads into the city with his crew. Once inside, he gets straight to the point and tells everyone he's here to claim what's rightfully his from his father. 3 shady characters show up, bowing before their prince and reporting that they've already done what they were tasked with. Prince Gerald then asks if they've managed to switch out the royal guards of the king as planned. The lackey admits there's been a snag in the plan due to some issues, and they've only been able to replace the guards in the king's chamber. The man waves off the concern, saying as long as he and his crew can get into the castle, they're good. The lackey quickly reassures him that there won't be anyone stopping their entry. The old man then mentions that Prince Gerald's fate star, the Heaven Star, is leaving the equinox and will be gone from this hemisphere in about 4 months. He asks if Gerald remembers what that star activity symbolizes. Gerald's mind drifts back to childhood memories of playing with his younger siblings. Then he snaps back to reality and admits he already knows what those stars mean. This means he's ready to break the rules of the challenge their father set for them, and Prince Gerald will be taking the throne of Grey Castle. Outside the king's room, the prince catches a weird odor and asks his lackey about the strange smell of blood. The old guy explains that the king had called for a servant girl who noticed the staff change when she left, so they had to get rid of her. Seems like things are getting interesting because the king hasn't been around women since their mother passed away. As he's about to enter, the old man points out there's no guard patrol, making it easier to move around. The prince scoffs that he's not sneaking in like a rat. He's here proudly to discuss inheriting the throne with his father. But if talking fails, he'll try something else. He grips his sword and leans toward the door. The scent of blood just gets stronger. Once he takes a peek inside, he finds blood and smashes through the door. Inside, he discovers his brother standing there, and the third king of Grey Castle, Wimbledon, lies dead with a dagger in his chest. The assassin behind this is Timothy Wimbledon, the second prince of Grey Castle. Seeing his older brother, Timothy claims he didn't want to do it, but had no choice. Just like the first prince had no choice other than to come here. Almost instantly, a bunch of soldiers pop up right behind the first prince and surround him, catching him off guard. The older brother asks his younger sibling how long he'd been planning this. Timothy explains that the decree their father set was like a chess game. He admits he planned to play by the rules, but the third princess started playing dirty. He also points out Gerald as a dirty player, suggesting the first prince wouldn't have rushed all the way across the kingdom to the capital without a heads up from his astrologer lackey. Seems like his lackey has also betrayed the first prince, though the old man clarifies he never lied. When the heavens move from the equinox, it symbolizes a seeker who's lost their way, but also foretells downfall. The first prince gets annoyed and yells at his younger brother, reminding him how he was the favorite son, given all the advantages by the king. Yet he killed their father. In response, Timothy grins shamelessly, pointing out the first prince's hypocrisy, since he was also there to kill the king if talking didn't work out. The first prince trembles, probably after seeing his brother dropping truth bombs so brutally. He asks Timothy if he intentionally lured him here to get rid of him as well. Timothy just shrugs, saying he didn't plan to confront their sister just by staying put to kill his older brother. He's kinda impressed their sister also saw all this coming before the decree was even written. Timothy goes on to explain he wants to end this royal decree early because his Valencia city isn't like their sister's Clearwater port, which is breeding warriors like rabbits. He needs an army, a big enough one to challenge her sister, and that's only possible if he's rocking the Grey Castle crown. The first prince gets furious and charges at his brother, but the soldiers quickly intervene. One of them strikes him from behind with a spear, forcing him to drop to his knees in front of his younger brother. Timothy devilishly informs his brother that he'll be framed for killing the king and labeled a murderer, and he will face the guillotine for his crime as well. The soldier pins the first prince down, but he keeps protesting, asking if Timothy even has the right to judge him, and vows to expose Timothy's crimes to everyone in public. But Timothy has covered all his bases. He's prepared a potion called the Silencer, Once someone drinks it, they won't be able to utter a word. After executing his brother, Timothy plans to play the grieving role perfectly. With no one else in line for the throne, he'll become king without breaking a sweat. He further tells his brother to curse his sister for the terrible fate he's about to face, while the first prince's mind flashes back to a memory once again, and the soldiers start dragging Gerald out of the place. The cunning fox who betrayed the first prince starts calling Timothy king, declaring that the crown is already his. Timothy gives the man a verbal high five for a job well done, but then he pulls out a presumably poisonous pill and tells the man to swallow it if he doesn't want to be betrayed later. Timothy looks at his father, gritting his teeth in frustration at seeing him dead before his eyes. The scene flashes back to the past when Timothy reported to the king that Gerald was on his way to the capital with intentions to forcibly take the crown. Timothy asked if the king had a plan to prevent this. The king just grinned manically, leaving the boy confused. In the next moment, the king pulled out a dagger, swung with all his force, and thrust it into his own chest, dying immediately before Timothy's eyes. Right in the middle of things, Timothy is pissed off, trying to figure out who's stirring up trouble in the fight for the crown. He's dead set on finding that bastard and showing them what happens when you mess with royalty. Looks like the women who visited the king earlier must be involved in this mess. In any case, we're back at the border town castle where everything's been pretty smooth lately. The steam engine prototype in the mines got fixed up, no accidents, and demons haven't been causing trouble either. Our hero's been chilling out, brainstorming how to boost the town's economy and fill up his empty wallet back again. But then, bam! His peaceful moment gets crashed by the knight barging in with bad news. A massive horde of demons is swarming outside the walls. Down at the border, below the wall, a bunch of monsters are howling their heads off. Up above, the soldiers look freaked out at the sheer numbers. And let's not forget Vonner. He was just a regular miner who ended up joining the army just to eat damn eggs. One of the beasts charges at the wall and directly hits it with full force, leaving the entire wall shaking. And that also did quite a damage to the wall, but the monster immediately falls to the ground and the wolf-type monsters starts marching down. Hunter Iron Ace quickly tells everyone to gear up their spears. As soon as the wolves are right on top of them, the terrified Vanner gathers his guts and stabs those beasts at the captain's command. One of the wolves manages to climb up, but the captain swiftly whips out his gun and blows the monster's brains out. With the immediate threat dealt with, Iron Ace tells everyone to stay focused and keep an eye on what's ahead. Suddenly, a soldier screams as they're attacked, their belly pierced deeply. Seeing their guts spill out terrifies Vanner to his core. The knight and the prince finally arrive at the scene. The knight tells Vanner to chill out and remember his training. Once the soldier regains composure, he snaps back to his senses and orders the others to take the injured soldier to the hospital while everyone else holds their ground and fights off the demons beneath the wall. The prince can't help but smile at the sight of Vanner showing such discipline. He's glad that all that egg-eating didn't go to waste in training the civilian army after all. Suddenly, something catches their eye on the ground, something so freaky that even our hero starts to freak out. The hunter, equally spooked, quickly pulls out his gun, saying they've officially stumbled onto trouble for the day. Our hero's mind is spinning at the sight of this behemoth, a disgusting creature that seems to break all the rules of biology. He never thought he'd come face to face with such a mutant monster.